Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to this special Cabinet meeting on the 10th of August. We'll start off on the agenda with apologies for absence, and I understand that Councillor Judge has notified us of an absence, so too is Dan Jones, Lucy Owen, Assad, Mushtaq and Jane McSherry. So we'll be joined by John Bosley, Paul McGarry, Roger Kershaw, David Michael, and joined online by Byron Britton and Polly Chook and Councillor Ryans. So welcome everybody. Not sure there's anyone that I have missed. Okay, so we'll move to declarations of pecuniary interest. There are no indications, so we'll move to item 3, which is the ULEZ scrappage scheme. Councillor Alan Brittis.
Thank you, Leader. Now, we all need to clean up the air we breathe and to protect our health, but the Conservative government is badly refusing to provide any support. Subject to approval from the Cabinet tonight, this administration will launch a £1 million local scrappage scheme to help the poorest areas of Merton that are not well connected by public transport and our hard-working carers as well. We want to support people in Merton to swap high-polluting cars for sustainable alternatives. But the cost of living crisis means that this could put pressure on local people, which is why we're providing additional support through a Merton scrappage scheme. This scheme is the latest example of the great progress this administration is making in helping people choose sustainable alternatives for travelling around the borough. We've also brought e-bikes to the borough, campaigned for better bus connectivity, and installed hundreds of EV charging points, so you're only a few minutes walk from one anywhere in the borough. Now, all political parties in Merton agree that road vehicles are sources of pollutants that can harm human health. Clean air zones are often the most effective way to improve air quality in the shortest possible time, and ULEZ is one type of clean air zone. In 2015, the Conservative London Mayor Boris Johnson announced plans for an ultra-low emission zone which would launch by 2020. As Mayor of London, Civic introduced the existing central and inner London ULEZ a year earlier in 2019. And in 2020, the Conservative government, via Grant Shapps, Member of Parliament, made it a condition of the Transport for London funding deal for the Mayor of London to expand clean air initiatives, including ULEZ. Now, the Liberal Democrats have been in favour of expanding ULEZ since 2019, going as far as calling for the introduction of a mini ULEZ in Merton in a motion. But only Labour is providing solutions which will clean up the air we breathe while supporting people through the cost of living crisis. In Merton, between 50 and 100 premature deaths per year are attributed to air pollution. Almost 85% of vehicles in the borough are compliant. Air pollution in Merton still exceeds safe levels along busy roads and in our town centres. It is estimated that there are 10,000 non-ULEZ compliant vehicles still in the borough. Now, Merton Council held several meetings with residents and submitted a response to TfL during its public consultation on the expansion of ULEZ to outer London boroughs. Merton Council also lobbied for a generous scrappage scheme that considers the cost of living crisis. Merton Council will launch this expanded £1 million scrappage scheme tonight, subject to Cabinet approval, which helps people who need to swap their high-polluting cars for a sustainable alternative but are struggling with the cost of living crisis. A £1,000 grant per vehicle will be available to the poorest parts of our community that are not well served by public transport, provided their car meets the TfL scrappage criteria. The grant will also be available for our hard-working carers throughout Merton. Merton's local scrappage scheme will be open to both people who have and who have not accessed the existing TfL scheme. It will be on a first-come, first-served basis, with take-up figures being published for the public's view. The scheme will launch in September, and details on eligibility and how to apply will follow soon. Finally, leader, and in conclusion, a big thank you to you for steering all this, to the officers for all their hard work, especially Paul McGarry from Future Merton for the excellent report and the work on the criteria, and to Cabinet colleagues for their inputs along this journey. We want to take action to clean our air, but we need to support people to do it, especially during this cost of living crisis. This local scheme from the Progressive administration allows us to do just that. I join you, leader, in commending the scheme for approval tonight. Thank you.
And thank you very much, Councillor Alan Brittis, for introducing the paper. I'll go to Cabinet colleagues. If there's any comments or questions, please indicate. Councillor Christie.
Yeah, thank you, leader. And I'd like to congratulate Councillor Alan Brittis on bringing this exciting scheme forward. I think we've seen from some of the media coverage of this just how sort of groundbreaking this scheme is for our borough, for Outer London, and the impact it's having on the rest of London and other councils that are following suit. But clearly, time is of the essence in introducing this policy if we are to help residents with the cost of living crisis. And given that, as you know, in our recent budget, both the Conservatives and the Liberal Democrats voted against all of the cost of living measures in our budget, what impact would there be if any of the opposition parties were to attempt to delay bringing in this local scrappage scheme? Thank you.
I want to thank Councillor Christie for his question, and he's quite right. To date, neither of the major opposition parties have welcomed this announcement here in Merton. If they did agree to call this announcement in, they would be denying Merton residents the opportunity of accessing £1,000 on top of the mayor's scrappage scheme, and will need to explain to their residents, but also why they will be delaying the removal of the most polluting cars off our roads. Respectfully, my question to any of the opposition members watching tonight, here or not here, is this: whose side are you on?
Thank you, Councillor Alan Brittis. Councillor Fraser.
Thank you very much, Chair. I'd like to thank Councillor Alan Brittis for his hard work. I've been following you in the press and everywhere, and now we've come. So I'd like to just ask you a question. Merton, a Labour-run council, prudently manages finances for 13 years while supporting residents in need through a £22 million cost of living fund. Will Merton's own scrappage system scheme come out of this fund, or will it be an addition to the cost of living fund?
I thank Councillor Fraser for her question. The ULEZ £1 million is coming from our Strategic Priorities Fund, which only exists because of the way in which we excellently fund our finances and run our finances here. And it comes because we were able to come under budget and in the last year. Excellent use for the residents and an excellent way to run a council.
Councillor Stringer.
Thank you very much, Councillor Brittis, for your work on this. I think it's brilliant that we as a Labour Council are supporting our Labour Mayor to clean up the air and protect our residents at the same time. And I'm really glad that the Mayor has also going to listen to the calls that we have made to increase the scrappage scheme, so the essential scrappage scheme is being extended as well. So how has the Mayor and the other councils received our announcement to create our own version?
Well, thank you, Councillor Stringer. I can only quote an exact quote from the Mayor himself, from the London Mayor himself, who said in the media throughout London, and he said this: I praise Merton Council for launching its own scrappage fund to provide additional support to local residents. But it is disappointing, he continued, that the government still refuses to provide any additional scrappage funding to London, even though it has done so far for other cities implementing clear air zones like Birmingham, Bristol and Portsmouth. As for councils, we have what we call, there's nothing like Flattery than copy another organisation, but from the Evening Standard, a major piece only this week, with a banner headline: Wandsworth Council announces its own ULEZ scrappage scheme. And this is how the Evening Standard ran. Labour-run Wandsworth Council has announced it is establishing its own scrappage fund to help people cope financially with the expanded ultra-low emission zone. It comes after Merton, another Labour-run bordering council borough, said last week it will be launching its own £1 billion scheme to complement the Mayor's citywide fund. So, support from the Mayor, support from councils.
Councillor McKay.
Thank you, Leader. I'd like to thank my fellow Ravensbury councillor, Stephen British, for bringing forward this excellent scheme, because it supports the people who need help most. I think that goes well on our policies of administration. Now, I'm aware that we've already supported our hard-working carers in Merton by committing to pay them at least the London living wage. I'd like you to explain how Merton's Scrappage scheme will further support the marvellous people who do such very important.
Yes, so our scheme, the Merton Scrappage scheme, will come into play for carers as well. So carers in Merton who are registered with our parking people, who have a parking permit, who are known to us with regard to their work and the fact that they have a car here in Merton that is registered here and they live there, will be covered by this Scrappage scheme.
So, Councillor Kenny.
Thank you, Chair, and I'd like to say congratulations around. I think it's an excellent idea that you're doing to support people who are really struggling with this. And it's great that the Labour Round Council is stepping up and supporting residents during the cost of living crisis by offering £1,000 on top of the £2,000 offered by the Mayor's Scrappage scheme. However, Lower Morden has a number of small businessmen and businesswomen living in the area. What additional support is on offer to them?
Thank you, Councillor Kenny. I'm pleased to say that the Mayor has moved quite specifically and quite encouragingly to support SME small businesses like those in your ward, in Lower Morden. So the scrappage for a small business in Lower Morden wanting to scrap their non-compliant van goes from £5,000 to £7,000. And for van owners in Lower Morden who go fully electric, this will go up from £7,500 to £9,500. Now, if they want to retrofit their van in Lower Morden to make it compliant, this goes from £5,000 to £6,000. And that is the agreed sum of money for a retrofit by the trade throughout the UK. So they can retrofit. And there is still more good news, Sally, for your small businesses in Lower Morden. As such, ones can now scrap up to 3 vans, when it used to be just 1 van per firm. And so there you have it, Sally, a very generous, comprehensive support package from the Mayor of London.
Councillor Ryan.
Thank you, Chair. And I just wanted to echo the kind of sentiment around the room for Councillor Anne British and to yourself for having the bravery to bring this forward to us and to stand on the side of our residents. But we've seen recently that there's been a number of Conservative councils who have spent taxpayers' money trying to block ULEZ and not coming forward with any solutions and to how to clean up our air. And instead of obviously spending that money on frivolous lawsuits, we've put this scheme together to actually help provide practical solutions for our residents. So I just wondered, Councillor Alan British, do you have a message for those councils?
Yes, I do, Councillor Irons, and my message to them is similar to my response to the first question. Whose side are they on? Certainly not on the side of their residents during a cost of living crisis, and certainly not on the side of their small businesses, and certainly not on the side of their carers. In short, they're on the wrong side of this argument. Councillor Irons, they're on the wrong side of this argument.
Thank you. Okay, there's no further indications for comments or questions, so I'll move to the recommendations. And Cabinet, we're being asked to agree recommendations A and B. They agree? Agree. Okay, well, thank you very much. That concludes our special meeting this evening. Thank you very much for your attendance.